What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Tre, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we got to talk about March Madness, but we're going to talk about men and women's side. And I am a Duke fan, so we are going to talk about Duke hoops, right? But we're going to keep it on. We're going to try to be on track here because we got a couple topics to talk about. So we're going to talk about my final four wish list, right? And again, wish list, okay, for both men and women. And this is men and women across the board for all topics. The toughest quadrants, sections, however you want to call it, regions. We're going to talk about those. Then also my favorite sleepers. Ooh, it's going to be smooth. Like my favorite sleeper teams. Tremendous. And then also finally, my Duke road to the championship, okay? Peep the hat. Like, you know what time it is. So we got to go and start talking about this March Madness because it's going to be a good one. And again, this is my wish list. We're going to talk it off. We're going to start it off with the wish list. So with the men's Final Four wish list, my initial one can't happen, but for the South region, I'm looking at Auburn or Michigan State. That would be cool to see happen. Okay, that would be. Duke and Alabama out of the East. And you already know what team I want to win that, right? Like, that'll be cool. But again, these teams were on my initial listing. So I got to keep them. I'm not on the listing, even though we could potentially lose if I'm saying Alabama gets there, right? Maryland or Arkansas out of the West. That one would be a good one. I'm not going to lie to you. And again, this is my wish list. I like Maryland. I'm a Derek Queen fan. I've talked about them before the season started. I like their program thus far. They've been doing really well this season. I think they could make a run. Watch out for Maryland. Then you also got Arkansas. Coach Cal's first season. That would be pretty interesting. Is he back on track now? Because a lot of people think, hey, he's overrated. He hasn't done anything since 2012. So his first year back, Boogie Fland on his squad. Tremendous young rookie or young freshman. Back to, let's see what happens. But again, that's my wish list for the West. And then out of the Midwest, I got a couple teams. Texas, because I do want to see Tre Johnson in the Final Four. Plus, Texas back as a program, that would be tremendous, right? But then you also got to talk about Kentucky. I'm saying Kentucky biasly because I put money on them on FanDuel, okay? But they have actually been playing pretty well. And keep in mind, Arkansas versus Kentucky, I think that would draw heads in terms of being in the Final Four. You know that would be talked about quite nicely. But we also got to consider Houston because Houston was also a team that was on my initial listing. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the men's side, my Final Four wish list, yes, it does encompass quite a few teams, but I had 6 to begin with. There were 2 that I had to eventually sneak up here because they did make the bracket. The other teams, based on where they were pitted up against one another, not going to get a clean one. But, hey, 3 out of 4 might not be bad. So if I get, as long as Duke's in there for I'll be okay. Y'all know how we bias about this one. But let's go ahead and switch it over to the women's side. But I do want to know what you all think about one, my wish list, and 2, what's your wish list as well. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and comment your thoughts as well. But anyways, let's move it on down to the women's side for the Final Four. We're going to talk about here in Region 1, I'm looking at UCLA or LSU. Like, LSU is a scrappy team. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I'm also a GMU alum. That's right. And my Patriots, you know what I'm saying, my girls, we did make the team. We did make March Madness, okay? So I do appreciate that. But again, outside of bias, UCLA, LSU. And I might favor UCLA, even though that is a little bit biased because I did put money on them again on FanDuel. So be on the lookout. But LSU also has a scrappy team. So I'm not going to be surprised if they win. South Carolina for the Region 2. South Carolina or Duke. This could be interesting. Because keep in mind, too, South Carolina's actually played Duke before, and they beat us. So it was a mean free throw disparity, though. I will say that. Like, if the free throw disparity if we close that gap, it's a much different game. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the coach, it'll be a really good coach battle between Dawn Staley for South Carolina and Kara Lawson of Duke. That would be tremendous, okay? So I got to say that would be solid. And then Region 3. Region 3. All right, so this one's going to be interesting, right? Because I really favor Notre Dame versus or Texas in this region. However, there are a couple teams that was interesting. TCU, maybe, but I also don't believe them as much. But again, maybe. But again, Notre Dame and Texas are my favorites for this one. But I'm not going to be overly surprised if TCU gets there, because keep in mind, they could go up against Louisville, which Haley Van Lith's squad, that's her former team. So that would be interesting. Or maybe Louisville, because Louisville could go up against her and say, hey, you shouldn't have left. That would have been good. Either way, though, like I said, Notre Dame or Texas, but those could be two teams you got to keep a lookout for. Region 4, ladies and gentlemen, this is the big one. I'm not going to lie to y'all. It's USC or UConn. And when I say Final Four, I hate the fact that they are pitted against one another. I wanted to see them against one another, potentially in the Final Four, if we could see it happen. Unfortunately, we can't now, right? Like, we got to see this happen. So, damn. This is frustrating. But a few of my teams were up here, so I would get to see at least 4 of the teams make it. Like, if UCLA, South Carolina, Duke, Notre Dame, USC, UConn, if they make it, those are my Final Four wish list. So again, at least for the women's Final Four, I'll be okay as long as them teams make it. But preferably too, though, I would like to see Duke make it. No shade, Don Staley. It's just, I'm a Duke fan. It is what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I want to hear y'all thoughts so far. Are you happy about my wish list? Did you like it? Well, also, what's your own wish list as well? I want to hear it. So please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. But now we're going to move on down to the toughest quadrants. I had to make sure I got this one right. But let's go ahead and talk about the men's toughest quadrants, ladies and gentlemen. So I can't say I have a definitive toughest quadrant. And I know I said toughest, right? Like that means top, number one. Why can't you make a decision, Trey? Like it's a show, ain't it? It's your show, right? Here's why. There's like 2 of them where I'm like, you know what? I could put them over this case and vice versa. There's another one that I'm like, damn, they do have some strong potential too. There's another one where I'm like, they got some talent. It's okay. But it goes back and forth for me. So the East, for example, and I said on my initial one, point in time, that's the strongest one. We now do have a little bit of better balance for March Madness because the East, well, we boast the most top 15 projected NBA draft picks. So that works out nicely, right? Like that's pretty tough to combat. But then again, too, freshmen sometimes mess up, but they have more talent. So again, from a tough standpoint, maybe it depends on how you view it. Toughest. I view it as talent based. So when I'm thinking talent, right, and talent can be viewed a few different ways too. But for me, talent, I'm thinking East might have it. But then again, when I'm looking at the South, they're pretty stout. And a team like Louisville, who was just in the ACC tournament, who's in the ACC championship, lost to my Blue Devils, but they did play well, and they were number 3 in the ACC. Keep in mind, they're number 11 ranked in college basketball, and they're 8th seed. That like if that team is an 8th seed, that's going to be tough for the 1 seed. Because like, bro, that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like Louisville's no slouch. I was more worried about them than Clemson in the ACC championship or tournament. So again, the South, I understand because they have good teams across the board. The West, they got 3 of the top 10 teams in college basketball. And then you got to think about they have Kansas, who did fall off. I hear you. But they were a former number 1 team. Arkansas, they have NBA talent. What's up, Cal? UConn, they're defending champions. So I'm just saying, like, it's a lot. And then when you look at the Midwest, they have some NBA talent. They got Tre Johnson from Texas. You got Leah McNeely from UConn. I'm sorry, UConn's in this bracket, in the Midwest, not in the West. But yeah, like you have some talent. So again, ladies and gentlemen, it's tough. Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe y'all can help me out. So again, if you got some thoughts about the toughest quadrant, right? I would love to hear. So please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. But we got to move it on down to the women's side too, because again, I'm just as bamboozled about this one as I am about the men's. Like when I'm thinking about Region 1, I'm sorry. You got UCLA, NC State, LSU. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually different for the women's side than it is the men's. Because typically the number 1 and number 2 seeds are winning the championships. That's just what happens. You get a couple of 3 seeds, you know what I'm saying? Like after that, it don't really happen too much. Like nothing else really happens outside of the 1 through 3, and really is 1 and 2s. So again, UCLA, NC State, LSU. LSU is a contender, and they're the 3 seed. UCLA, they've been number 1 quite some time, all year. FanDuel has loved them throughout the year, trust me, because I said that they would win it before the season started. And they've been doing quite nicely. But then when I look at Region 2, all right, well, you got Duke and you got UNC, which keep in mind, too, you got that rivalry going, right? Then you also got Maryland. Maryland's not been doing that bad either. And then we still got South Carolina, like I talked about. Like, that's kind of tough. That's a lot of good teams right there. And then we got in Region 3, 2 preseason favorites. Like, we got NBA talent across the board. And I'm talking about as high as maybe number 1 and number 2 picks. That could happen. And not to mention Kentucky. And Georgia O'Moore is a number 1, or I'm sorry, is a first round pick in this upcoming draft. How about Region 4? Because we got 2 legit contenders in Texas and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame boasts 2 potential top 3 picks. Also, I snuck in TCU earlier. Haley Van Lith could start snapping. Like it's very tough for me to say which region's the toughest for the women. So again, like I said, I'm confused. I'm perplexed. I don't know. Y'all help me out. So definitely like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. But now let's go ahead and move it on down to the favorite sleeper teams, right? And we'll start off with the men, right? I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple of teams, and I've mentioned a couple of them already. Arkansas at number 10. They get Boogie Fland. You know what I'm saying? Like, Boogie's a quality talent. The assist-to-turnover ratio was stout. If that happens again throughout the tournament, 3.5 to 1? That means every 3.5 assists he makes, he gets 1 turnover. That's basketball security right there. Like, that's elite. So if we get that again, plus he wasn't that bad at scoring, I'd like to see Arkansas potentially making a little noise. I said potentially. But again, that could happen. Also, Texas. They could get hot. If you watched how they played in their tournament, in their conference tournament, they did pretty well. And they showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of tenacity. Tre Johnson looked like a first-round pick. He seemed like one all year. So again, Texas at number 11. In the right situations, if they play their cards right, they could make some noise. Texas back in the Final Four, that could be interesting. Baylor at number 9. This one's kind of, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I really just want to see VJ Edgecombe. This brother is so dumb, stupid, athletic. It is ridiculous, okay? At 6'5", just watch him. I promise y'all would not be disappointed. I promise you would not be disappointed. Remember Baylor, because if they go far, well, hopefully not too far, but we'll talk about it another time, another day. Anyways, Vanderbilt, number 10. They've been decent versus top 25 teams this year, about 5-8, right? That's not bad. That's not bad. So again, Vanderbilt, I would look at as a squad that maybe could make a little noise. I don't know how far I would put Vanderbilt though. But again, I don't know if they would lose first round. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they go a little far. Maybe Sweet 16. I could see that. That wouldn't be bad. And then also, again, and this is my final sleeper team for the men's side, Louisville. Because, again, ladies and gentlemen, they were number 2 in the ACC, at least when it all said and done, because they went to the championship game. They beat Clemson, who was the number 2 seed during the regular season. That team's an 8 seed. They're number 11 in college basketball ranking-wise. That means out of top 25, they're number 11. And they're an 8 seed. That is wild. That is absurd. So, I mean, hell, Louisville, and they've won a championship before. So, I mean, we've seen some stuff happen with 8 seeds. Could Louisville do it again? Or could Louisville be another one like that could happen? There's a world. But, ladies and gentlemen, those are all my sleeper teams for the men's squad. So I want to hear what y'all thoughts are. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. But let's move on down to the favorite women's sleeper teams, right? And again, I told you guys, typically the teams that win the championship for the women's squad are the 1 or 2 seeds. So we're talking about 3 seeds and everybody else, right? Men might have been 6 through 16. Women is 3 seed through everybody else. So I got to give a shout out to my girls, GMU, right? So they are a sleeper team. At number 11, too, keep in mind, on the men's side, 2006, we were the 11th seed and went all the way to the Final Four. That's all I'm saying. It'd be a nice little storyline. It'd be cute. It'd be cool. Hey, y'all did what George Mason did back in the day, too. And George Mason has actually been playing pretty well, both men and women. It's a damn shame that George Mason was not able to get to the tournament. But it is what it is. We played well. George Mason. Let's see what happens. Again, one of my favorite sleeper teams. But that one you can say that's biased. I'll give you that. So fine, let's move it on down to the next one, right? LSU at number 3. We do have Nafisa Morrow, who is a WNBA draft pick, first round, right? We're talking about maybe top 5. It could go as low as top 7, top 9. But again, first rounder. And she is a quality talent. We also got Tre Johnson. Come on now. Like, we all know her because she's played with Angel Reese before. She's looked at as a bona fide stud in college, right? We also got the rap career. I like LSU as a team. They're coached well. Obviously, they've won a championship. They have championship pedigree. So again, LSU at number 3. That could happen. But let's see what happens, though. Because I also see that they have some holes to fill as well, too. They do have a little bit of streakiness when it comes to scoring. But they are a top-notch defensive squad. So be on the lookout for LSU. Notre Dame at number 3, ladies and gentlemen. I halfway don't understand it. Again, they did lose. I get it. They lost to my girls. Shout-outs. You know what I'm saying? But still, number 3 does seem a little low, especially when they've been, like, in the top 3 for quite some time during the regular season, right? So it's unfortunate. But again, because of that, what I just said, and they also boast 2 potential top 3 draft picks in this upcoming draft, plus a stud and a sophomore who has been getting a bucket this season. That's 3 quality talents right there. And the team is pretty good. They damn self across the board. Notre Dame could be very scary. So be on the lookout for Notre Dame. And again, it's that 3 seed that makes me a little hesitant around them. Now, Florida State at number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, this could be a little interesting because when I tell you a lady by the name of Tania Lotson is getting a bucket out there at 5'8", it's phenomenal. I was about to start making up words. Like, it's ridiculous. She shoots well from the field, gives you about 37%, 38% from 3, and also in the 80s for the free throw line. I know you might have a little trepidation because of the height. Yeah, her game defies the height, ladies and gentlemen. She could cause problems. And Florida State is actually a good team. They're a little scrappy team. And again, if they play well, if they play up to their potential, they can make some noise. So, unfortunately, Florida State does play George Mason in the first round. So that does hurt. But, it's cool. It's cool. Let's see what happens. But, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, those are my sleeper teams for the women's side. So I'm definitely curious what your thoughts are on those squads. So definitely please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. Like I said, I'm trying to get the ratings up just a little bit. But now, ladies and gentlemen, We are talking about Duke's road to the title, to the championship game. So with that being said, we got to add some entertainment. And again, it's men and women. So because of that, I'm a little thirsty. I'm a little parched. Y'all help me out. Should I get my ginger beer on, or should I get my Dragon Ball Z on? What y'all thinking? I don't know. I'm gonna decide. Pete Gohan, that's my favorite character right there of all time. They did him a little dirty, but it's cool. And the ginger beer is not bad. It's actually pretty good. I can't hold you. But anyways, though, back to the show, right? Because I genuinely am a little thirsty. But as far as the road to the title game, here's my thing. One, I'd like to say a couple things. UNC making the tournament. Trash. Not this though. That actually slaps. The fact that they didn't really win anything like that, and they were allowed to enter the tournament. Texas getting there, I can understand. I can accept. Like I said, they played extreme, and UNC played well too. Like they did. I cannot knock them. They did well in the ACC tournament. They came back down 24, and y'all go watch my live. That's all I gotta say. But they didn't win enough. Texas did. So because of that, I can understand why Texas get there. Plus, the Final Four is actually in San Antonio, Texas. I understand why Texas could get in there. I don't for UNC. But, it is what it is. And I already talked about George Mason not making it. It's tough because we would have actually been in the same bracket as Duke, which we did play them earlier. I went to that game. It was a nice one. But speaking of Duke, like I said, this is the road to the championship. At least my wish list for the boys. You know what I'm saying? We're going to start off with the boys. I actually like the girl side a little bit better, if I'm being honest with y'all. But round 64, we got to beat whoever the 16 seed is, because we still don't know, right? It's still a little early. At least when I'm recording this. But still, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying that's when I don't know who the 16 seed is yet. But after that, I hope we get to play round 32 where we see Baylor. Okay. Reason why I talked about VJ Edgecombe earlier. The boy has dumb, stupid athleticism, but also he's a top draft pick. He could go as high as number 3. And if someone really sees him as an elite star, number 2, like maybe. But again, him versus Cooper Flag as a talent, as a play. Ooh. But then we also got to talk about Jeremy Roach, who's on Baylor. And for the Duke fans, y'all know that name because he was on our team for 4 seasons. That's right. He was our captain for a couple of years. So we got those ties. We got Duke ties. Then we also got Norkid Omir, who played on Miami with Jim Larinaga when they went to the Final Four. No, the championship game. And they lost to UConn. I actually watched that one. That was pretty smooth. That was good. That was a nice game, ladies and gentlemen. So again, what was that the Final Four? I got to double check that now. Damn, I hope it was. I hope I was right. Either way, Baylor, we get to see him, and then hopefully we win. Because next we would face Arizona, and this is a little petty for me, 2011, Derek Williams, right? They beat us. We got some payback. Keep in mind, John Shire had just retired, left. And where is my daggone? Right here it goes. And he had just graduated and gotten this for us right in 2010. But Derek Williams said, you know what? Y'all not going to win with Kyrie, right? Remember when Kyrie had played 11 games that season? Yeah, we need some payback, right? Plus the Arizona program, we got ties from the history, right? Battling back and forth a couple times. Then you also got to talk about the Elite 8, because after we beat them, you got to go to the Elite 8 and face Wisconsin. I'm thinking because of 2015, just a little nostalgic. But also keep in mind, BYU, this could be interesting storyline. Pay attention. What if Cooper Flag stays? This could now add to a potential rivalry that we could talk about, because AJ DeBonta is actually going to BYU, and BYU could be ranked pretty high, especially if some of their players currently stay this year, which I kind of selfishly hope they do, right? That could breed a wonderful, wonderful rivalry for sports next year. I'm just saying. And then think about it, too, because they could be the number 1 and number 2 draft picks, respectively, next year. Keep in mind, Cameron Boozer's on the squad, too, so you got number 3. That's going to draw in a lot of storylines. So the idea of Cooper Flag staying for that standpoint could draw some legs. Not gonna lie to you, amongst fans. But that's the reason why I would want to play those squads. But again, more so Wisconsin from nostalgic reasons. And then after that, we got to go to the Final Four, where we play Houston, because we do get a rematch opportunity from 2024. I do remember when they had a player that got injured, and I'm like, damn, they were who I want to say Crier, if I'm not mistaken. He got injured at a critical time, and I'm like, I thought Houston might have won that game, so I want to make sure that we actually give Houston a proper rematch, because I don't want anything messing up a title run at all from an optics standpoint. I genuinely don't. Next, because once we get through the Final Four, right, I got a couple teams I want to say we could definitely talk about, because, well, Maryland, right? We got the history. But then we also got Derek Queen, which is a player that I said before the season started, people were going to talk about more so towards the end of the season. And they might have caught on a little earlier than I thought they would. But that would help out my statement as well, too. So maybe it's a little bit biased. But also, Maryland's been playing pretty well, too. So keep a lookout for Maryland. They could do some things. You also got MSU. That's Michigan State, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Izzo, wonderful coach. Usually gets his team to the Final Fours. But then also, he has the talent to back it up, too. So talent plus Tom Izzo, that might breed some success. So I'm curious about Tom Izzo and them. Auburn, wonderful rematch. And I'm talking about from this year. We played Auburn this year. So I would want to see a quality rematch game between Duke and Auburn. Kansas, could that be a symbol of something? Because, again, Kansas was number one at one point in time, dropped out of the top 25 ranking. Then they come back and go back to the title game. That's pretty smooth. Keep in mind, too, they would have played UNC and then Duke. So if they played Duke and UNC and beat them in the title game, I don't think has a team done that, actually? Has an organization done that? That would have to, I'd have to look that up myself. But that could be pretty interesting. So again, Kansas, I'd like to see UConn. So earlier, I thought this was going to be like a second round matchup, but it would have been Liam McNeely, who also played with Cooper Flag in high school. But then you also got Con Knuppel, who, well, they could be comparisons. So again, you got UConn's recency dominance, plus some high school relevancy, and we're tying it into Cooper Flag, who a lot of people love from a marketing standpoint. So if you're hyping that up, would that not help out? And again, these are two blue bloods going back and forth toward, like, fighting against one another. You got to love that. Speaking of blue bloods, ladies and gentlemen, I did harp about how they got into March Madness, but since they're here now, UNC, I would love to see that. A fourth matchup. We got to have it happen. And keep in mind, too, biasly, we would have the advantage because, again, we've beaten them with and without Cooper Flag, and we've done so in the ACC tournament. Granted, they did come back, but, again, we had a large whole field or missing with Cooper Flag missing. So, barring severe health factors, I think we would win that one. And, again, for the championship game, that'd be payback for the Final Four loss. I promise you. Oh my gosh, I would love that. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the men's side. Let's go ahead and talk about the women's side real quick. So we have here Oregon for the round 32. Keep in mind too, we get past the 64 round, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just making sure that's stated right. But after that, we're going to round 32, which is Oregon. The reason why I say round 32 is this: Deja Kelly. Okay. She played for UNC. So we do have UNC ties. So that's the reason why I would want to play Oregon. That'd be nice. And plus, Deja also is their best player. So it'd be nice to win against a UNC player, right? Because then after that, we go to the Sweet 16 where we play UNC. And again, that's that rivalry. I would like that. That'd be nice. So then after that, we got the Elite Eight, ladies and gentlemen. And we got UMD, which I've spoken about the history of UMD, right? Plus, this would be a redemption because Maryland did beat us. Or we could play South Carolina because it would be a redemption because South Carolina did beat us. And I spoke about that earlier on the free throw disparity. And if we close that gap, it could actually be a different game. Plus, the coaching battle, you may want to pay attention to that one. Then we got the Final Four. Notre Dame. I would love to see us against Notre Dame because Notre Dame is an ACC team. And we had to beat like Notre Dame, the best team in the ACC all season long. Then we beat them in the ACC tournament. So I'd like to find out who's the better team. Let's get that tiebreaker because one was 1-1 right now. So I would love to see that. And again, Final Four, that'd be a quality storyline right there, ladies and gentlemen. And then we got to talk about the championship game because I would love to see UCLA or UConn. I would favor UConn because I'm a Pagebackers fan. I'm sorry. But UCLA does have my bias because of FanDuel. Yeah, I'm sorry. I put a little bread on UCLA, like I said earlier, ladies and gentlemen. And that was before the season started. Same with UConn as well, too, though. I thought these are two quality teams. So, again, because I view them that highly to put bread on them, I would love to see Duke go up against them. And if I lose my money because Duke wins, I'm okay with that. Because, again, we won. And if we both win, Duke men and women, keep this in mind too, ladies and gentlemen, because UConn did something that has not been done since we did it, which is win 2 championships in a row, win them back to back. So we got to, in turn, return the favor and have the men and women for Duke win championships in the same season. Because that hasn't been done since, you guessed it, UConn. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's my road wish list for both Duke men and women. So, again, y'all have heard my gripes. Y'all have heard my excitements. I want to hear y'all thoughts as well, too. So, please make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment. Tell anyone about the show. My name is Tre. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. 1, go Blue Devils, right? 2, go Mason Patriots. You know what I'm saying? I hope y'all ladies do well. Men, we got robbed. 3, hope you all have a good one. Take care.